4 years into my doula career, I witnessed something that completely transformed the way I look at childbirth. Do you want to know what it is? Listen, when I started my doula work, I was so full of rainbows and butterflies. I just thought it was going to be so magical to help women have their babies. And don't get me wrong, much of it was, but it also really opened my eyes to the stark realities of what was happening in the hospital environment. During my doula training, I was introduced to research, ACOG guidelines. Nothing had prepared me for how much the system was deviating from those things. And time again, I saw my clients being coerced into procedures that they didn't need. But you might be inclined to say like, well, how do you know? I mean, you didn't go to medical school. But let me explain. I don't need a medical degree to see when a doctor tells you that, or tells my client that their baby is too big and that they need to do an induction. And then over and over again, a normal sized baby comes out. And they just went through a horrendous induction that lasted 3 days and ended in a C-section. Or another very common was low amniotic fluid. We need to induce because your amniotic fluid is low. And then we would get into the labor room and miraculously tons of fluid would come out. It left me deeply troubled because I could see how this was impacting not just their birth experience, but those weeks postpartum. Because I was the one that was there with them. Their doctor wasn't there. The nurse wasn't there. I was. But then about 4 years into my career, I attended my first home birth. This was nothing short of life-altering. And I'm going to be honest with you. Before I became a doula, I did not understand why anyone would have a hospital or out of hospital birth. I did not understand why anyone would want to do any of this without drugs. I thought those people were crazy. Now, I want to preface that this home birth was actually very challenging and almost turned into a hospital transfer. It was long and But the thing that struck me the most was the midwives and how they handled themselves. They were quite literally there in service of the mother and the baby. It was not about them. It was not about their credentials. It wasn't about their skill set. They were just there to help this woman usher their new life into the world. It wasn't about asserting their authority, which I had just seen over and over and over and over again. It quite literally changed my entire career path. It lit a fire in me. That was the day that the activist and the advocate in me was born. Because I really believe if both doctors and nurses had an opportunity to see birth that way, it would change everything. Because what I know for sure is that this is possible even in the hospital environment. Years later, I would find myself planning my own home birth. And I was excited to do it without drugs. Can you believe that? I mean, really. But after guiding so many people through this process, 80% of my clients did not choose drugs. And I wanted to experience it myself. A couple days ago was International Home Birth Day. And this is me. I look a little different, and my husband and our sweet newborn. And this was about an hour after I gave birth. Now, this was not meant to convince you to have a home birth. What I do want to emphasize is how important it is that you understand your environment and how it can deeply impact your whole experience. You can have a smoother birth and postpartum experience when you have the right support, no matter where you choose to birth. At Birthify, we're your digital doula from bump to baby, and we would absolutely be honored to support you. Check us out. Link is in the bio.